This presentation is systematically close high-ticket sales like clockwork with no sales pressure. And what I'm going to show you here really changed my life, to be honest. I was okay at sales. I was a little bit hit and miss. I was building good rapport, building good trust, that kind of thing. But what I didn't have was I didn't have a system. I didn't have a framework so that it was formulaic, knowing that if I put a certain number of leads in, it was going to, then they were the right people, then we were going to spit out a certain number of sales. We weren't selling small ticket item either. So like Andy mentioned, we were selling a 30 grand ticket. Now it's a 35 grand ticket. We've really had a long track record of success with this methodology that I'm about to show you. So by the time we got to the close section, we closed at 90%. That was our close rate over what was really like a 4-year period, that kind of thing. So it's worked out to be in between $3 and $5 million worth of sales. The most we've ever done in a day was $120,000 in a day with this exact technique. So it's very, very formulaic. I've never shared this publicly on the web, and I would encourage you not to share it publicly on the web. You don't want everyone selling this exact same way because then it can lose its power. But if it's just our community, then that's much better. What I found, like I learned, and I'll give credit in a moment to some gentlemen, Frank Kern and Perry Belcher. I learned it from those guys, and what I found is so many of the big names that that everyone sells the exact same way, and you'll see why over time. It really is incredible, and this really changed my life. So I hope that it has a profound effect on you. For some people, this will be a big game changer, and moving forward. So a little bit about me, although Andy's already kind of mentioned it. So we used to run an agency, and then we've been a coach for many years, and now I partner with Marco and with Andy, and we work advertising boost, etc. together. So there's a couple of stats. We've got a long track record of success now, but been doing it for a while. I already mentioned this really can change your life. One of the things that it's given us is freedom. So it's not just this technique, like this is how to convert big ticket sales. In upcoming months, I'm going to show you like how we build rapport over the web, how we capture leads, how we do mobile optimization, a whole bunch of stuff, and especially at the summit as well. But as a result of this year, we've been able to generate freedom. So multiple freedoms, like freedom of location. So we moved to, Byron Bay, which is tropical paradise in Australia. It's probably not the best time to mention that because there's a cyclone coming literally tomorrow. So that's not that great. But yeah, so time freedom, being able to work where you want, and also freedom of people and choice. So just working with cool people and that kind of stuff, not having to win business, but doing business with people that you enjoy doing business with. So that kind of thing, I think that's really been the big game changers for me. I mentioned these two gentlemen before. I first did a session with Perry Belcher, like consult, told him the problem that I was having, that I was a little bit hit and miss with my sales. And he'd actually learnt this from Frank. And so I did a session with Perry, and then I did a follow-up session with Frank. And then I've taken it and molded it and shaped it over time. And then Frank, at one stage he heard, I heard the stats you get, and he's like, damn, like, can you show me what you're doing? And I showed him like a few tweaks we'd made to it, but effectively it was the same stuff that I'd learned from these guys, but our close rate was higher than Frank's. But the reason why was because I was doing the closes myself, whereas he'd outsourced it to a team. That was kind of like the only thing. And then I think Andy mentioned as well that, Russell Brunson had heard that we were quite sort of ninja level in this area, and then he got us to teach it to his mastermind and to his sales team as well, so that that knowledge, and it was published in the Expert Secrets book, and credited the three of us. So yeah, it works. It's very cool. So let's get into like why big ticket phone sales. A lot of people are just focused on, let's just make sales from the web, and don't get me wrong, I do that as well. But big ticket phone sales is very powerful. And the reason why here, the 80-20, so the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, is fractal. So what that means is that every time you sell something, there's 20% of people who want more. So they're willing to pay a premium to get, maybe it's more help from you, more implementation, or whatever it is, Maybe even sometimes it's just more time with you, that kind of thing. So if you look at this from a price point of view, if you had 2,000 people who are willing to pay you $7 for like your tripwire or something like that, then 400 of them would gladly pay you 47. 80 of them would gladly pay you 497. 16 would pay 12,000. 3 would pay 25,000, and 1 would pay 100,000. So that's statistically how it works out with the 80-20 principle. So if we had a goal, then like if we had a desired number, so say in this hypothetical scenario we wanted to reach 200,000 in sales, if we were selling $7 widgets, we'd have to sell like over 28,000 customers. So that's over 28,000 yeses we would need to get. But at $47, we would need 4,500 roughly. At 497, we'd only need 400 customers. At 12,000, we'd need 16 customers. So you can see how this is starting to get a little bit easier. At 25, we'd need 8 customers, and at 100 grand, we'd only need 2 customers. And sometimes people get subconsciously, they feel uncomfortable about selling, and I get that. And I can relate to that as well. You know, that's happened to me. A guy that I worked with a little bit, a gentleman by the name of Andrew Grant, he taught me something about selling that really, really changed me from a confidence point of view. So what he said was, if you're uncomfortable about selling, then you're inwardly focused. You're thinking like this. But if what you're going to do, if what you're going to sell is genuinely going to help people, then you should be outwardly focused. And you're kind of doing them a disservice if you don't help them. Like, so I know that like what we do generally helps people scale their business, make it more profitable, and changes their lives, because that full lifestyle by design thing. So if I actually don't sell it to someone, if I don't help them to get it and to realize the value, then I'm not doing them a service. So I think that's a really, really important distinction about if you feel subconsciously uncomfortable about selling, you're inwardly focused. Just think, if you're going to help them, then be outwardly focused, help them. And if what you're selling isn't going to help people, then there's a powerful word in marketing, I think, which is just next. So saying next, move on, like don't sell it. I remember like on my way up through the industry, I had people saying to me, you could make so much more money if you did this. You could make so much more money if you did that. But I stuck with my gut feel, and I only did things that I was comfortable with. And yeah, I didn't make as much money as some of the other guys and girls on the way up. But you know what? I preserved my reputation. Because I think, you know, in today's social media world, you really, really can't trust your reputation. So if you're not comfortable with it, don't sell it. If you're going to help people, then be outwardly focused with it. So I hope that helps. So we found the easiest way to make big profits from the web is to grab web leads, so capture leads online, and then convert them, so selling big ticket items over the phone. And the reason why is because the phone is a richer media. So selling face-to-face, one-to-one, that is ultimately the best way to sell, but it's not necessarily that leverage. You know, we live in a globally connected world, that kind of thing. Selling over the phone is amazing. That is probably like number 2. Selling on stage is very, very powerful as well. That can really, really work well. Selling over a webinar can work well as well. So you do want to take them off the online media into a more interpersonal, human-to-human connection. Because like, so say for example, if we were talking now, you only really 80% of the communication, only 20% of the communication is going to be what I'm going to say, and the 80% you can decide whether this guy is full of it or this guy knows what he's doing, it can be trusted or not, you know, that kind of thing. So that's why this can be very, very powerful. We found with these phone sales, if you can add video as well, then it is much, much better than if you just do the phone, because you really are adding another medium and you are adding more communication points. And I'll show you another medium we add as well. So most people are after like, hey Greg, I heard you're a ninja at phone sales. Can you give me your phone script? It's like, well, you know, the script is only one part of it, and I'm going to show you the whole script, so don't worry about that. But it's a system. So what I'm going to show you is a system for systematically warming up people with leading with trust, leading with value, building rapport so that they know, like, and trust you and are predisposed, they want to do business with you, right? And then capturing those leads and then creating value through the sales process and then only if you're a match for each other deciding to do business, and then closing the sale, not in a hard pitch way, you know, like you've got to buy now and all that kind of stuff. Wait till you see the way that I close it off at the end. It's so, so soft, but it works amazing. So yeah, be interested to see your thoughts on it at the end, but it's a system, not a script. So let's walk through the steps now. The first step is we're going to lead with value and then get on with leads. And some people will be thinking, just get on to how do I close the sales, but you can't skip this step. We need people to know that you can genuinely help them, and we need people to know, like, and trust you, that kind of thing. So let's lead with value first. So here's an example, so a Facebook video view post. This is one that I do a lot. It's basically why I love Facebook video view posts on your fan page, that kind of thing, is because you can, it's like a TV ad really, but you can just lead with value, and it only costs 1, 2, or 3 cents to get people to watch, to consume the content. And then you can have links, and you can have links in your Facebook video view post, but you're not trying to sell them to anything. You're not taking them to a landing page or anything. You're taking them to high value content on your blog that there's no calls to action. There is calls to action here if they want to take that, but we're leading with value. So we're just leading with value with video view ads. We've got another site where there's literally like 30 to 50 videos that are going around, and they're just leading with value. They're not asking for anything. But for those advanced marketers in the group, will know that if we get people to consume our content on Facebook, watch our videos, we can do what with them? We can build audiences of those people who are consuming our content. Maybe they're consuming a lot of it, and then we can follow up with them again. So I'll just grab water. And so if we build an audience of those people, we can then remarket them to offers like this, to a lead magnet, so they opt in and they end up on our email list, that kind of thing.
So this is your way of building a relationship with them online, little by little, versus knocking on their door and saying, hey, do you want to buy what I got?
Agreed. And because the positioning is completely different. So Marco, if you come to me, that's a whole bunch different sales positioning than if I'm cold calling you, you don't know me from a bar of soap, you know, that kind of thing. It's, yeah, completely different positioning, completely different rapport, completely different relationship. So we want to, let's lead with value. Coming up in an upcoming webinar for members, I'll go deep into, the next one we're going to do is visual story ads, and we're going to, I'm going to show you deep into video views and how we do our social media in an automated way so that you're not constantly having to be, you know, posting and that kind of stuff, but you're leading with massive value. You're getting hundreds of thousands of people in your audiences for very, very cheap. And then you remarket them and you get them onto your list. You can also do Facebook ads directly to lead magnets like this, don't get me wrong, but it is better if they know, like, and trust you in advance. Once they're on your list, we then want to do like give, ask, you know, that kind of thing. So have an autoresponder sequence that delivers on the promise. So in this case, if we told them we're going to give them our Facebook ads swipe file, it's very, very important that we give them that Facebook ads swipe file. But then if they haven't been indoctrinated yet, that meaning they haven't gone through our sequence, we can then give them a welcome email and tell them what to expect, and then lead with a, you know, send them over to a blog post. And blog posts, sending them over to, if it's got video on it, is going to be a much richer connection because video is just so much more powerful than text. So giving them a couple of video blog posts and then asking, saying, hey, do you want a hand with it, that kind of thing. Then leading with more value, give, and then an ask again. And there's multiple ways you can do asks as well. So here's a give example where, like, from one of those emails, we're saying, here's 12 ways to get more customers for your e-commerce store, you know, that kind of thing. So they come over here, they watch the video. We're not asking for anything. If they do want to take action, there's a call to action there where they can inquire, you know, that kind of thing. But at this stage, we're just really like leading with value. Do this a couple of times, and then we can do an ask saying, like here in this case, you know, if you had the opportunity to work one-on-one with me and my team, would you take me up on it? And then there's a video there talking about, hey, this is how we work with people. We only work together if it's a win-win. And then click the button for a strategic consult if you want to talk further, that kind of thing. And then also there we'd have social proof, maybe down, if you imagine below that button, we may have more social proof that just goes on and on and on. If you look at either our collective site or our Rainmaker partner site, and you look at the social proof, advertisingboost.com does this really, really well as well. We do it on that one where just build up your testimonials, like just genuinely what people say about you and your organization if you're doing a great job. And then what you learn in copywriting school, obviously if you make a claim in your copy, you then want to use testimonials below it, that kind of thing. But here you just want to build a page of overwhelming social proof so that people know, hey, you're the real deal. You're really, really helping people, and you're really, really helping people get results so that they know, like, and trust you in advance, that kind of thing. So we want social proof in there, and we want to give them ways for them to take up. So whether it's like an inquire button, I want a strategic consult button, that kind of things. And then if you look at the form, so like this is an example of a form, just asking for the minimal number of fields to capture this lead. And then here, like this business revenue, also this goals question, like what do you want to achieve? That's important. And then, so the asking their revenue, that's kind of like to sift the leads. So like in our business, we know if someone's doing 0 to 500, we may have been able to help them. We're not currently taking on any clients in the coaching consulting business these days, but if I'm talking back to this example, so we may have been able to help them, but certainly if they had more runs on the board, it was easier to fuel the fire, that kind of thing. So that enabled us to sort the leads a little bit for the next step. So you get these coming in all the time, and what you'll find is by leading with value and then having that give, ask, and then capturing the leads, it becomes a system that just spits out leads for you all the time. So which is really, really powerful position. From any business, what we've found is the more leads you have coming in, the more powerful position you're in. So say, for example, I'm really, really broke, meaning I've got no money. I'll try not to use any Australian slang. I don't know if that's Australian or not, but if I've got no money and I'm desperate for the next job that comes in, even my energy level when we're having the strategic consult may be wrong because I may be desperate. But whereas if we've got 3 or 4 leads in this week and business is going well, then I may be putting over a completely different level of, we've got this saying in our business that energy doesn't lie. So you'd be putting across a whole bunch of different energy. So we want more and more powerful leads. We want more power by having more leads. So that's the purpose with this. So now if we've captured the lead and someone has inquired and they want to do a strategic consult with your business, I think that's probably the most powerful one you can do, because then you get to do a consultative close, which is really what this is about. And then there comes in that there's a set and a close, okay? So you don't want to go straight into the sales meeting with them. And the reason why is, and ultimately, in a perfect scenario, it should be 2 people within your organization. So within our organization, Jules, who runs our office, she does the set. So if I use Marco as the hypothetical client in this case, she would very, very quickly, like promptly call Marco back and say, hey, Marco, we got your inquiry, about working with us. Thanks for that. Is it okay now if we have a quick discussion and we learn a little bit about your business and see where you were, where it is you are and what it is you want to achieve, just to make sure we're a match together before I pass you over and lock in a time for Greg's, in Greg's diary, that kind of thing. So what she's doing as well is she's positioning me. Like, so say, for example, Marco told me he was in e-commerce. Then Jules in the set scenario may say, oh, wow, that's great. We've done a heap of great things in e-commerce recently, and then shout out a couple of examples, you know what I mean? So it's kind of preceding that we've had great results in that area. So the set, it's more conversational, and it's a little bit of a filter to see whether they then make it through to the consultative close call. If someone isn't the right match here at that set level, what you're better off to do is say, we're probably not the right match for each other, and I'll give you some scripting for this later. Probably not a really perfect match for each other. Here's some free resources. I'd recommend you check these out. These could help you. And have you met so-and-so over at XYZ Corp? I think they may be a better match for you, that kind of thing. So refer them on to someone else if you can, or give them some free resources. Never get an inquiry and just say, hey, I can't help you, boom, and you're gone. Always, if you've got some resources that you can give them that's going to help them, then that's a much, much better energy exchange. And then even though you couldn't help them, they've left with a good taste in their mouth saying, you know, these guys were all right, you know, that kind of thing. And then they're more likely to refer you on, that kind of thing. So that's what the set is about. The other important thing about the set is that they learn about the program. They learn about what it is you're selling. So Frank Kern says that no one should ever turn up to, so I've got a slide on this actually. No one should ever turn up to the sales call or the consult call, consultative close call, without knowing how you work and what the investment is in advance. Because say, for example, you're doing a 12 grand program. If we send that info out, and I've got two leads here, Andy might write back to me in this hypothetical example and saying, you know what, you've sent us our table of value. We're just not really at a position to invest $12,000 in our education or the next level at the moment. Thanks, but we'll come back later. But whereas Marco might have looked at it and said, you know, so a table of value is just like what we're going to do for you, and here's what the investment's going to be, that kind of thing. You might send over, here's a link to our testimonials. So it's basically sending them an email before the call so that they know all the info about it. And in this hypothetical example, Marco might have said, you know, like investing 12 grand in my business is nothing. Like, as I've seen, these guys and girls have increased businesses by as much as 50 million or whatever. So he's justifying it in his head that, you know, 12 grand is probably a good investment. So that's why it's important that they know about you and how much the investment is and how it's going to work before the call. Because
that goes, if I can ask you a question.
The consultative call is about helping them and getting them to the next level. Did you say something? Sorry, Marco.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. That kind of goes contrary to everything many of us have learned along the way, where you kind of hold the price until after you've shown them the value and everything you do before showing or discussing price. So that's very interesting.
And you'll see why as we get further into it as well. It's really about like protecting your time too, because whether it's you, Marco, as the entrepreneur, or it's me, you don't want to be having these calls who are time wasters. So in that hypothetical example, if Andy didn't have 12 grand and he was really only looking for a $300 solution, you know, that kind of thing, it's not really a good use of his time, and it's not really a good use of my time to get on the call to see whether we're a match to work together. So that's why we do that. And if you've led with value in advance and they've seen your social proof and that kind of thing, then they can do that justification whether or not it's worth to go to the next step. But that's why we do this. So I'll never do a sales call or a consultative close call without someone who doesn't know what it is. So this is a golden rule of ours, and I credit Frank Kern for it because, it's really, really made a massive, massive difference. And like you say, a lot of this, what we're going through, is contrarian to traditional sales speak, but it really, really works. So then if we've done the set call, we've captured the lead, so we've led with value, we've captured the lead, we've given them heaps of value, we've shown them our table of value, so they know what it's about, they've seen some social proof, and then in that set example, Jules might have then locked in if we keep going with our hypothetical scenario, Jules might have then locked in a time for Marco to meet with me. And then the other part about it is she'll tell him, Marco, you need to call this number, or you need to jump on this GoToWebinar at this time. So say, for example, it was 10:30 on Tuesday. What is important, and another little thing, I'm going to help you with lots of little distinctions, and all these little things are going to add up. We don't want to be that Greg will call you at 10:30 because it's the wrong positioning. It's got to be the other way around. You've got to call in, and then she'll also like set the expectation, saying like he's a busy guy. Have you got it? Have you got it in your diary? Make sure you don't miss that 10:30 slot. You know, that kind of thing, so that they know that it's important. We're giving you some of his time so that they value it. Because otherwise, you don't want to be doing what's called in sales talk chasing ghosts. So chasing ghosts means, oh, hey Marco, I thought we were meeting at 10:30. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't have time, you know, that kind of thing. And just like the chasing game, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be positioned more as that wise man or woman at the top of the hill that they're seeking out to work with, rather than yeah, just your average Joe sort of thing. So we're now going to get into the consultative close call. Basically, like we've got this thing which we call the over at my house test. So on this call, we're not going to be like, look how awesome I am, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. If I went over to Marco's house and I was helping him with something, I'd literally be helping him with it. I wouldn't be like leading with buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. So that's why I'm just saying you just want to be cool about this and then use the energy levels. And if you guys and girls are at a right level to do stuff together, then go for it. And if not, then don't. But don't make it a hard sell at all. Okay, so that's the over at my house test. So I like this quote from Diego Rodriguez. It says, the amount of money someone is willing to pay you will be in direct proportion to the amount of confidence they have in your ability to get them results. And in a minute, we're going to get down to figuring out what the results are thereafter. But that's why all this stuff we've done before the sales call, really, really matters. It's layer upon layer of stuff that's building up to this stage. So at a subconscious level, there's 3 things that they need from the consult. The first thing is clarity about their future direction. So we're going to help them figure out like where they are now and really where they want to go and what's their version of success is. We're going to give them some confidence about what they've achieved already. So that might be saying things of like, wow, you've really got some good runs on the board there. And if you feel it, like be genuine about it, like you should really be proud of what you've achieved today. Like not everyone gets that far, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. And they're a capability to achieve bigger goals. So like, and I'll show you how we can map that out together. But this is at a subconscious level. This is not for everyone, but like if you're getting down into ninja levels worth of stuff, then it's good to know that. All right, so we're going to help them by giving them results in advance. So we're going to show them that we can help them by giving them results in advance. So we're going to make, again, another Frank Kern thing, and I quote Frank a lot because he's helped me a lot, is that we want to make our marketing helpful all in itself. And that way people, even if they don't go ahead with you or you decide not to go ahead with them, they've had a great exchange out of it and they've got some good value out of it and they've got some clarity. And yes, with what I'm going to show you about this consultative close, there is a chance that people could take it. You've drawn out a plan together and they can just take it and run with it. You know what? And that is going to happen. And in life, people are going to rip you off sometimes, but I look at it with an abundance mindset of, you know what, if they're going to do that to you now, it's actually probably better that you know about it now rather than doing a whole bunch of work together, that kind of thing. So let's demonstrate that we can help them by actually helping them. So we get on the call, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to build rapport. And you'll hear me talk about energy levels a lot. So what we want to do is, as humans, we want to feel comfortable. We want to feel comfortable with the other person. So before we get into business, I think that, the Chinese do this very, very well. Like they do it over a longer period of time, but we need to build some rapport. So what is something that we've got in common? So in this example, I say, hey, I see you from Bowral. I went to school in Bowral, nice place. So we might talk about Bowral, or I saw on Instagram you really love XYZ football team, that kind of thing. So you've automatically built some rapport. You've got something in common. Ideally, do your research, find something in common you have with that person, start off on that, get a nice energy level, and then go into it. So what you'll find is that this consultative close, it's not let's meander through the conversation, which is what I used to do, which is what I was guilty of. This is a structured framework of how we're going to do it. So after we've done that rapport, I literally say this, and I'm going to read it word for word for you so you got it on the recording. So, hey, Marco, let me tell you how these calls work. We work at the strategic level, and then once we've sorted that out, we can move on to some tactics. Does that sound okay to you? Then you wait for them to say, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, so we've got 30 minutes together. I'm going to ask you 3 or 4 strategic questions, and then depending on how we go there, we can see if there's any win-wins of doing some stuff together. Are you okay with that approach? And then you'll get the yes from them. So we are getting a few, yeses and micro wins along the way as well. If you haven't read this book, I'd recommend reading it. It's a very light read. It doesn't take very long. It's called the Dan Sullivan question, and it says ask it and transform anyone's future. So Dan Sullivan is the founder of Strategic Coach. I've learned a lot from Dan. As you'll see, like the stuff that I'm teaching you, it really comes from a whole bunch of different sources, and then we just apply what works. So yeah, I'll show you the Dan Sullivan question, and then I'll show you how it's been tweaked down into our consultative close process. So what we're going to try and do here is we're going to try to get them to visualize what's most important to them over this upcoming period. Okay, so here's an important distinction. You don't want to miss this. So if I sell to Marco based off what my version of success is, what I think success for him is, hey, you should be doing this and all that kind of stuff, without actually finding out where he's at, where he wants to go, and what his version of success is, it doesn't actually really matter about my version of success. What matters is what his version of success is. What does, in this example, what does Marco want to achieve? And then we'll get down into why. So we want to be selling. It's so much easier to sell if you know what they want rather than what you want. So that's what this is about. We're going to get them to visualize it. So this is what's called the Dan Sullivan question. It takes them forward, future paces them, and gets them looking back. So here's how it goes. If we were having this discussion 3 years from today and we were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened to you in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? Okay, so the 3 years from today, I use a 1 year. I think it's easier, but then they're looking back. It's not like looking forward. It gets them to visualize it better. And then it's, for you to feel happy. It's not about me. It's about you to feel happy. So let's now look. This is the start of our script. Then after we've done the rapport, the Dan Sullivan question. So it's like, hey, Marco, you know what I do and the sorts of results that we've got for other businesses that we've worked with. And remember, he knows this because we've done all those other steps beforehand. If we began working together today, I want you to imagine 1 year from now, say we're sitting in a coffee shop or whatever, and we're talking about all the cool stuff that's happened in the last year. What will have had to have happened for you both personally and professionally for you to say, wow, that's been an amazingly successful year? I guess what I really want to know is, what does success look like for you, Marco? And so you notice I'm using his name again. So everyone's own name is actually their own favorite word, to be honest. And it shows you remembered it, and it shows you're identifying with them. So then basically here, you would shut up, like zip it, and you would get their version of like, oh, well, we want to go from 10 grand a month to 20 grand a month, and that kind of thing. You would hear what they say. But you've really got to take this, and then you've got to drill down on it, okay? And I'll give you an example in a moment. Like, so, what I mean by we want to drill down is that we want to really find out what is their real why. So, say Marco said, I want to get from 10 grand a month to 20 grand a month, and increase profitability, that kind of thing. So I'd say, okay, that's great. So I understand you want to get from 10 grand a month to 20 grand a month. So if I understand correctly, you sell 1 grand widgets, is that right? He says, yeah, we sell 1 grand widgets. Okay, so if I understand that correctly, we would need to make an extra 10 sales a month. Is that correct? He goes, yes, we'd need to make an extra 10 sales a month to get from 10 grand to 20 grand. Okay, so cool. I've got my head around that. And then how many leads do we currently need to get, before you get a sale? And he might tell you, 2 leads to make a sale, that kind of thing. So you're starting to draw out a picture of how many, like in this example, how many leads, how many sales we would need to make, that kind of thing. And then so just curious though, you want to get from 10 grand a month to 20 grand a month. What's 20 grand a month going to do for you that 10 grand wouldn't? And then again, you got to zip it, and you got to listen. And it's more about listening than it is talking. The more you listen and the less you talk, sometimes the better that you're going to go. So Marco might tell me that, well, so I'll give you an example. Like, so I separated from my missus, and we moved into a small place, and she's hassling me about it because I don't have enough room for the kids when they come over, and I really need to get to that bigger place. So it's just everything's, all cruisy again, that kind of thing. So see that might be someone's actual real why. They need to get to that bigger place just so that they've got more peace in their life in that example. So now you know that like we've got to get from 10 grand to 20 grand a month because we really need to be able to get to that bigger place so that we've just got more peace in our life and everything's going cruisy. So that's kind of like what we do in that drill down stage. And it's important we don't want to rush through this. We don't want to move on until we've actually found out what their real why is, and we've started to do some of that, consultative close stuff, like what I just showed you of the. So if you want to go from 10 to 20, how many more would you need to get in that 10, and then how many more leads would we need? And so we're starting to map out, like, okay, well, it really, like, we need this number of leads, we need that many calls, that kind of thing. So we're starting to build that out a bit and really understand what's going on. And then this is an optional but a ninja strategy. Often what I'll be doing is, say if we did the phone meeting via GoToMeeting or via Zoom or something, I would add in multiple medias. So I don't want to just do like a phone call and that kind of stuff. We want to do, if we can, we're doing an audio call like this. We've got a video call, and then I'm sharing my screen with you, and I'm literally drawing a visual model in front of you. And I don't always do this, but it does work better. So as we're talking about stuff, I'm literally just drawing a square and saying what it is and drawing a square. And the reason why is because then it's our plan that we've come up with it together. It's not like, it doesn't work as well if I just dictate to you, hey, this is what you've got to do. That doesn't work as well as if you and I have come up with the plan together of, like, this is, you're here, you want to go there. These are some of the, key steps on that process. So this really, really, really works. So that was question one. Then we move into what we call the filter. And the filter, why we call it the filter is because we're trying to filter out people who are a danger to work with. So basically what I mean by that is, if someone is complaining at this stage about everyone else they've worked with, then chances are you're going to be next. But if they take it on the chin, like as far as, some of the things is really about them, it's not everything is about everyone else, then they're probably pretty cool. So then I say, like, here's strategic question number 2. Obviously, you know what you want. It seems like you've known what you want for a while. What do you believe perhaps could have kept you from getting it so far? More specifically, what's been any hold-ups, any roadblocks? What do you believe might have slowed you down on the journey? And then, again, you zip it and you listen. So they might say, like, well, I'm really not good at traffic, or I'm really not good at capturing leads, or we really don't have a good sales process, whatever it is. That sort of stuff, if they're taking it and then like, okay, yeah, they're things that they want to work on, then that's great. And all the examples I'm talking about are business examples. Obviously, if you do something else, you've just got to take our examples and relate it to your market. But if they're saying, well, that Joe Bloggs over there, he ripped me off, and then that Fred Smith, he did the wrong thing by me, and Sally, she didn't do the right thing by me. If they're blaming everyone else, then remember, that's red flag, that's danger. When you're first getting started, I get it, like that sometimes you need to win every piece of business. But as you get better and as you get like financially a little bit more stable, if your gut feel says this person is going to be a nightmare to work with, you've got to listen to that gut feel, because it's just not worth the headache. It's not worth the hassle. And taking on their emotional, bad energy, it's not freeing you up to then work with people who you really can help and who you really can create more value for. So that's why
Hey, Greg.
The filter.
Greg, on that last slide, you showed you created like the roadmap with the client. Is that part of what you mean by, you're giving and you're helping them with that in-home consultant style? You're helping him create it before you charge them anything yet. So you're actually...
Great. So say, for example, you told me, like, the e-commerce store really needs some work. I'll literally be just drawing I'm just using Keynote, or you could use PowerPoint or whatever. I'm just literally drawing out a picture of a rectangle saying optimize e-commerce store, as you said that. And then you might have said, hey, we really don't have good photos, that kind of thing. So that would have been unique images. So as you and I have discussed things that we'd need, I've literally just drawn the picture in front of them. And then I say, does that look like a good plan? Like, we'll get into that later. And then people are happy with it because that plan accurately represents what we've just discussed together. So that's what is really, really powerful about it.
Mm-hmm.
So then we've got the filter, and you might draw more things just sharing your screen while you're doing that. You don't have to draw the visual plan together, but I believe it works better. So does Frank. I wouldn't discuss that one with Perry, I'm not sure. So so that's like the filter. And then we're getting into more of that collaborative close. We've started that already. So this is like, and I've got an image here of a bridge. So we're formulating a plan. We're building a bridge together. And then, so what this is, as you learn this Dan Sullivan question, there's another layer to it called DOS, which means dangers, opportunities, and strengths. So this is just the theory. So I'm giving you the theory, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to use it. Okay, so that's like what's going on here. So if we build on our Dan Sullivan question that we had before, we say, if we're having this discussion 3 years from today, and you're looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened for you in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? Specifically, what dangers do you have now that need to be eliminated? What opportunities need to be captured, and what strengths need to be maximized? So we're looking at like, what dangers do we want to avoid? What opportunities do we want to run with? And also, what strengths do we want to run with? And let's look at how we now weave that into the sales process. So really, so third question, Marco, what resources, connections, talents, or skills do you have that you're currently maybe not using 100% potential that we could use to overcome your obstacles and your goals? And then I could help you with some that maybe our team could contribute. And that's when, again, you zip it. And then, so they might say like a difficult question, but well, my brother-in-law is keen to come into the business and he's really, really good at sales. And there's a girl down the road and she is very, very keen to come on board if we can get it to the right level. And she's really good at the traffic piece or, that kind of thing. And then, so you figure out what they know are opportunities or strengths that it's like, well, we haven't even changed over to Shopify and that would make a big difference, that kind of thing. And then, so I might say like, well, we're a black belt at AdWords. Like, what if we were to bring that to the table? And I see you haven't got any remarketing in place. What about if we were to add remarketing in so that we're starting to follow people around? And then we haven't got an email sequence. So while this is happening, we're literally, remember, we go back to here, we're just like drawing the plan together, in front of them. Often you might have that phone script if you want, just print it out on your, on your desk, or for me, like I know it off by heart. After you've done it a few times, you know it off by heart, so you don't need that. But initially, you probably will. So that's what we're doing here. So opportunities and strengths, and then once we've mapped out what they're going to bring to the table, what we're going to bring to the table, we're then going to wrap it all up. So we're going to bring it all together. So this is like collaborative close. So great, Marco. Let's recap for a minute. It looks like you know what you want. So you want to get from 10 grand to 20 grand a month. Which really it works out to be 10 extra sales a month based off our 1 grand widgets. And the reason why is because we really do need to get you into the bigger place. I understand that. I would feel the exact same way. There's no point having those dramas. So I know you haven't been able to achieve that primarily because the e-commerce story isn't good. We don't have the, we don't have the salesperson and we don't have the traffic person. What we spoke about was that you were going to, that perhaps your brother-in-law could really help with those sales. The girl down the road seems like she's got amazing traffic skills. I think we could bring some great things to the table as well with ninja level Google AdWords. And we haven't added in remarketing. We haven't added in the email sequence. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think if we captured that right, if we do those things, do you think that's going to really help us as a team get from X to, from where we are now, from that 10 grand a month to the 20 grand a month to create that thing? And then they're like, yeah, sounds about right. Does that make sense? Yeah. So then once they've said, yeah, sounds about right. So I might, at this stage, we want to see if there's any other objections, if they've got anything in their mind. So like, do you have any questions at this stage? Does it all make sense what we've discussed? They might say, no, it makes sense. Or, I'm good. I'm happy with that plan, that kind of thing. Or they might say, well, I really wanted to know, like, how much time do I get to spend to you? Or you said you've got an event coming up. When is that? That kind of thing. So answer any of those, but there shouldn't be too many, at this stage. And then from there, we're then transitioning into a close. And sometimes you'll see salespeople and they're like really, really cool and and we're talking about energy again. They've got great energy when they're helping, when they're helping people. So hopefully I've come across to you with just genuine good energy. I've just been helping you. I haven't asked for anything. But if I was going to ask for something, I wouldn't let my energy change because remember what we spoke about, it would just be helping them. Okay, so we want to be cool about our sales process, and I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that. But before we get into that, we really got to decide, well, do we want to work with people? So in this hypothetical example, if Marco just rubbed me the wrong way and I couldn't put my finger on it, why it was or that kind of stuff, or if there was a few warning signs in there that he wanted to go from 10 grand a month to $1 million, $1 million a month, and he, that kind of thing, and it was just like, well, I didn't believe that we could help with achieve those results. If it was any of that kind of thing, then we might decide, at this stage it's best not to work together. But if, I had a good energy level with him, and everything he was saying was pretty congruent and was pretty good, and what he wanted to achieve, we were confident we could help with that, then we may decide we want to go ahead. So it's very, very important before we get into the close that we know what we want to do. And so if the answer is no, then this is how I would handle it. And we want to always give value, remember? So thanks, Marco, for your time today. It's been great to get to know you about you and your business. Unfortunately, I personally don't believe I'm the right, person to help you for XYZ reason. We don't really have a lot of experience in the supplement space. Like, we're not good in the supplement space, if that was the reason or whatever it was. But I have some free resources on my blog. I'm going to send you a whole bunch of links. It's like about 6 or 8 things that I think will really, really help you to move it to the next level. And then the other thing is, if you met Joe over at XYZ Corp, I'm pretty sure that Joe and Sally, they specialize in the supplements game. I would recommend you contact them. What are your thoughts on that? Is that okay? Yeah, and I'm sorry I can't help you, but I just really don't feel I'm the right person for you, that kind of thing. So we've let them down. We've got ourselves out of something that isn't a win-win, and we've led with value. So we're not leaving a bad taste in their mouth. But if it's a yes, then we want to build into it in a way that is a powerful positioning. So, thanks, Marco, for your time today. It's been great to get to know about you and your business. I think, we're in a lucky position, but we've really engineered that luck. But we're in the top 1% of our industry, and we get to choose just cool, fun people with a great attitude to work with. My gut feel on you, Marco, is very good, and I'm confident that my team and I can help you to achieve your goals that we discussed. I think it'd be great to work together, and I think we could kick some serious goals together. And then this leads into, like, you watch how hard I close. So if I'm going to do this last paragraph again, and then I'm going to build into the next one. So you see how it all goes together and nothing changes. So my gut feel on you, Marco, is very good, and I'm confident my team and I can help you to achieve your goals. I think it'd be great to work with. You'd be great to work with, and we could kick some serious goals together. So really, one last question is, do you want a hand with it? And then you zip it. So see how hard that close was. So I didn't say to him, hey, do you want to buy our $30,000 coaching program? What you're going to get is this. What you're going to get is that. I just asked him, so hey, really one last question is, do you want a hand with it? And most people, from our experience, will say, if you've gone through that whole process, would say, yeah, you know what, that sounds good, let's do it. And then I would, in that scenario, I would say then, cool, excellent, well, I think it's going to be great. So next steps, I would pass you back to, in our case, Jules, say, look, I don't really run the office, she runs the office. What she's going to do is she's going to lock you in my diary, she's going to get you in the Facebook group, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to explain what happens after the close in a minute. But we, as the consultative close person, ideally, you want to pass them back to the setter to do the admin-y type stuff. You don't really want to be doing that yourself. I get it. Sometimes you're a one-man show and you've got to do that yourself, a one-woman show. But if you don't have to, then yeah, like definitely pass it back to someone. And hopefully you'll find that close, like, do you want a hand with it, is just very, very soft. And if they said, oh, but I've got one last question about this and I've got one last question about that. And so sometimes you do have to handle objections like, I really want to think about it, or I really want to talk about it with, my partner or whatever. And so sometimes you do get those and you do have to handle them. And what you don't want to do is leave it open-ended. So if you thought that there was a real chance of getting together, but then they just thought they can't spend that amount of money without getting, permission, ideally you want, and the setter should do this for you, ideally you want all the stakeholders on the call. So if there's 2 business partners, you want them both to turn up, that kind of thing, so that they've both been through the same process. But if they did say, hey, we really need, for whatever objection, we need to get back to, we need some time, what you want to do is you want to lock in a time in advance to, if it got to that stage. It shouldn't really get to that stage, but say 1 in 10 times or something it does. And so say, okay, no worries, I understand you're going to speak to your partner. Well, what about, how's your diary tomorrow? Like, I can see that I'm free. Tomorrow's Tuesday, I'm free at 4. Could that work for you? We'll touch base then. Or you could touch base with Jules at 4. And if you want to go ahead, she'll get you started. And if you don't, there's no dramas at all, you know, that kind of thing. So I'd probably, the second call, I would more like put them back in touch with Jules, who runs our office, not with me. I don't really, if someone didn't want to buy the first time and they've been through the whole thing, I personally won't spend multiple times with them, but maybe if I was an up-and-comer, I probably would a little bit more. But that's just being 100% honest. So what's important is when you say, do you want a hand with it? I've seen people kill this by then keeping on talking, keeping on talking. You can actually kill the sale by saying something that would rub them the wrong way. So you just want to, do you want a hand with it, and then zip it and hear what they say. And so say they said, yep, that sounds great. And you then go, cool, well, I'll pass you back over to Jewel and she'll sort you out. You know, she'll get you started, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. I pass it back to Jules. What we found, right, was then you don't go straight for the credit card. You know, going straight for the credit card is a rookie mistake. You don't want to do that. So what you want to do is, now that you've passed them back to the setter, you want to get some micro wins along the go so that they're partway down the process before you even talk about, you know, credit card details. So, okay, so, hey, Marco, first thing is like, let's get you, so I'm Jules now. Hey, Marco, and I can't really do her voice. Hey, Marco, you know, it's not work. It's in my voice, but I'm going to be Jules. So, hey, Marco, Greg said that we're going to work together. That sounds great. He said the call went really, really good. We look forward to working with you. First things first, like, let's get you in the Facebook group. So it's a micro win. Costs him nothing. So it's like, okay, let me friend you on Facebook. Can you accept that? Yep, done it. I've added you into the group. Can you see the group now? Yes, brilliant. Okay, cool, that's great. And then, okay, so say you had a call, the next one was like, you had a call with Greg coming up. What's your diary like next week? Let's like lock that in, you know, that kind of thing. So it's another win. And it's okay, well, what's the best contact details for you? That kind of thing. So you're capturing that. And then let's get you into the members area. You know, in this hypothetical example, well, this is how we do it. And that's when it actually asks for the credit card details. So hopefully what you can see through this whole process is that we've provided value far in excess of, you know, like their time. We helped them. They've got a plan, and if they want to run with it and just go and do it themselves, so be it. And just have good energy about it. And whether or not they run with you or not, give them help. So give them value. But from what we've found, this process that we've given you, that is a serious, you know, money machine. Like we said, we've done up to 120 grand in a day for it. We've done, I don't know, I should have figured it out in advance, but it's well over $3 million in sales with that exact framework. And it literally, it combined with our, like, you know, other stuff that we're going to show you, like it literally did change my life and my wife and my kids' life, you know, that kind of thing. And hopefully it'll have a massive impact for you.